My name is Christopher Nossel. I'm a design principal focused on designing for applied AI, but today I've been asked to give you a short primer on sketchnoting. Sketchnoting is the practice of taking highly visual one-page notes. I learned it in 2013 and have not looked back since. I sketchnote conference talks, articles I'm reading, chapters out of books, stuff at work, even in advance of presentations that I'm planning on and things I'm writing. My family has a shared sketchnote book where we capture moments from vacations. In the wild, though, sketchnoting is mostly used for talks, and that's the use case I'll be focused on today. As a personal practice, sketchnoting helps me focus on what's being said, and in conferences where I'm jet lagged or wondering who just pinged me on my phone, that's invaluable. It also helps me make sense of what's being said. And because I have a highly visual memory, it helps me remember it later. I cannot tell you the number of times I've thought something like, oh, where's that sketch note with the building on fire? I need it. When you share sketch notes, it lets the speaker know that you found their content interesting. It helps market that content to other people who might be interested in it, and can start great conversations that further communities of practice. Over the course of Spark, we're going to be hearing from lots of great speakers with lots of great content. And let me encourage you to use this opportunity to try your hand at sketchnoting. And if you feel comfortable, share them out. And let me reassure you, you don't need to be an expert at drawing to make good or useful sketch notes. When you get right down to it, sketchnoting consists of two main practices: summarizing points and connecting them together. And that's kind of it. The first practice of making a sketch note is summarizing points. And to do this, you listen to the speaker, look at their slides, understand the main thrust of what it is they're conveying, and capture it with a drawing and a label. Note that I work digitally using an iPad Pro and Apple Pencil, most often in the app called GoodNotes. Many people enjoy sketchnoting with paper and ink, but I really enjoy the opportunity for refining that digital tools afford. Let's talk about labels. Your label doesn't have to be a full sentence, since the meaning is often understandable from its context. It should be the shortest phrase that captures the idea of what's being said, even sometimes just one word. In live sketchnoting, you might only be able to capture a single phrase before you need to move on, but most of the time you can go back later and add additional words when you have more time. Sometimes an exact quote is important, and in those cases, just write fast to capture it, and go back later to take your time to make the lettering more refined. Let's dive in, just try it out. Listen to the following snippet from a TED Talk by Tony Fadell called "The First Secret of Design is Noticing." As you listen, pick a word or phrase from what he's saying to encapsulate the snippet and write it down.
And we're hungry, and we see this ripe, juicy piece of fruit on the counter. We just want to pick it up and eat it. Except now, we have to look for this little sticker and dig at it with our nails, damaging the flesh. Then rolling up that sticker, you know what I mean, and then trying to flick it off your fingers, right? It's not fun, not at all. But something interesting happened. See, the first time you did it, you probably felt those feelings. You just wanted to eat the piece of fruit, but you felt upset. You just wanted to dive in. By the 10th time, you started to become less upset, and you started to just do the peeling the label off. By the 100th time, at least for me, I became numb to it. I simply picked up the piece of fruit, dug at it with my nails, tried to flick it off, and then wonder, was there another sticker? So why is that?
Once you decide on your label, you can also go deep with lettering. There are lots of techniques to make your labels more interesting and differentiated from each other, and to call attention to the most important parts. Arguably, the most accessible of these techniques is the double stroke technique, where you do simple block letters, but you repeat every stroke you make twice. This gives a nice thickness to the lines and doesn't require any more drawing skill than you would ordinarily use to write the label in the first place. Some sketchnoters really lean in on lettering and lean on it heavily for the visual interest of their notes. That's a good idea if drawing really terrifies you or you just really like lettering and calligraphy. But I find sketchnotes work best when you capture ideas with both a label and a drawing. So let's talk about drawing. The drawing is probably the most improvisational part of sketchnoting, where you decide what drawing captures the idea best. Sometimes it can be literal, but more often than not, you're having to come up with a visual metaphor for abstract concepts. If you've ever played the game Pictionary or Drawful from You Don't Know Jack, you know what this is like. And pro tip, these games develop skills that pay off in droves in your sketchnotes. Fast drawings that convey an idea with the least hassle. The good news is that you don't have to carry all the meaning in your drawing. It's the combination of drawing, label, and context of all the work together that captures the point. Also, it doesn't need to be museum quality. Whatever captures the idea is enough. And if you want to go back later to refine it, you can. As you go, you may even build up a library of visual metaphors that can be reused across different notes. And don't forget tracing. If you need something to look very much like the real thing and you're not confident that you can draw it, there is no shame in grabbing an image in the commons and tracing over it. If you're brand new to drawing, let me recommend the Ed Emberley Learning to Draw books. These books break down cartoons into a set of 9 basic shapes with step-by-step instructions on how to combine them into drawings. The Ed Emberley books are how I learned to draw as a kid and serve to build up my confidence and practice of making complex drawings out of simple parts. These books are also quite constrained with color, which I think translates really well into sketchnoting practice. The 9 Ed Emberley shapes. They are triangle, circle, square, a capital D, a dot, a line, an L, a chevron, which is kind of like an upside down V, and a C. And that's it. With those 9, you can create so many drawings. How do you remember all these? Well, if you pretend the square is an M, they rearrange to spell cola.made. You can even make a little cola made with them in order to remind yourself of these shapes. Okay, let's take a moment to practice these 9 shapes. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do it, which will seem like a long time, but if you're just getting started, let's get an easy win under our belts.
And I'm gonna spend my time drawing pictures in the sand for you. And I'm gonna write a time, and I'm gonna name a rendezvous. Sitting by the sea, sipping at my tea, drawing pictures in the sand, writing messages to you. Pictures in the sand.
Okay, now take those same shapes and draw the cola made itself. We'll take 30 seconds for that. Ready?
And I'm gonna spend my time drawing pictures in the sand for you. And I'm gonna write a time, and I'm gonna name a rendezvous. Sitting by the sea, sipping at my tea, drawing pictures in the sand, writing messages to you. Pictures in the sand, pictures in the sand, there's nothing I would rather.
All right, we're done with the 30 seconds. Good job. I mean, we're virtual, so you know what? Good job. Now, you look down and you see what you've drawn, and you may not love it, but of course, if you're just starting, you're not an expert drawer yet. That takes practice. But I hope it's clear from this exercise how you can build up from simple basics to much more complex drawings, and that should give you some confidence. You don't need an art degree to do sketchnote. All right. Ideally, you'd have some time to practice and build up confidence, but we have to move on. So let's return to the clip we listened to before. This time when you listen, come up with some drawing to evoke the key idea from the clip. And once you have the idea, try to use the basic shapes to build up a drawing that accompanies your label. Okay, I'll play the clip again, and then we'll have half a minute to come up with the drawing. And that sounds really fast, but remember that when somebody is talking on a stage, they won't pause at all to give you time to draw. So capturing ideas in real time is the goal. All right, ready, set?
And we're hungry, and we see this ripe, juicy piece of fruit on the counter. We just want to pick it up and eat it. Except now, we have to look for this little sticker and dig at it with our nails, damaging the flesh. Then rolling up that sticker, you know what I mean, and then trying to flick it off your fingers, right? It's not fun, not at all. But something interesting happened. See, the first time you did it, you probably felt those feelings. You just wanted to eat the piece of fruit, but you felt upset. You just wanted to dive in. By the 10th time, you started to become less upset. And you started to just do the peeling the label off. By the 100th time, at least for me, I became numb to it. I simply picked up the piece of fruit, dug at it with my nails, tried to flick it off, and then wonder, was there another sticker? So why is that?
Okay, now that we've seen the clip again, you have your idea of what you're going to draw? All right, let's draw it. You have 1 minute starting now.
And I'm gonna spend my time drawing pictures in the sand for you. And I'm gonna write a time. And I'm gonna name a rendezvous. Sitting by the sea, sipping at my tea, drawing pictures in the sand, writing messages to you. Pictures in the sand, pictures in the sand. There is nothing I would rather do than to sit here in the sand and think of things I'd like to say to you. Every single day I waste my time away drawing pictures in the sand, writing messages to you.
Okay, good job, virtual you. And a last note about capturing the idea. When you're sketchnoting live, you'll have one additional challenge. While you're making a drawing and a label that captures a key point, you also have to keep an ear out for the next point being said. So, let me emphasize, speed and brevity are your friend. If you're lucky, a speaker will sometimes ramble, and during that time you might go back and refine things that you've already sketched. But even while you're doing that, you have to keep an ear open for the speaker's next point. This attention splitting is part of how sketchnoting keeps you very focused on the talk. So that's the first major practice, capturing points with labels and drawings. The second major practice of making a sketch note is connecting all those points that you've captured together, organizing them into a cohesive whole. Sometimes we have to admit that talks don't lend themselves to complicated or hierarchical organization, and in those cases it's fine just to pack the page with bon mots. But most have a structure, and it helps when that structure is made visible in the sketch note. At first, you'll find you want to just capture ideas in real time and go back afterward to add the structure. But as you keep practicing and build confidence, you can do it in real time by making more important points larger and connecting them with supporting ideas with graphic elements or even color. Some presenters will organize their points in different ways, and you can experiment with layouts that convey this the best. And one last note. Don't forget to put the date, speaker name, and a speaker title on your notes. That'll help you a lot later as you try and remember where and when that sketch note happened. Oh, and sign your work. Not only do you deserve credit for it, but it helps people who discover it later reach out with any questions. And believe it or not, that's it. Those are the basics. Ideas captured with drawings and labels and connected together to make a unified whole. As you keep at it, build practice and build your confidence, you can try new things and even develop a personal style that people can recognize. If you want to learn more, there are several professionals doing great work and creating tools and workbooks for you to improve your practice. I learned from Evelata Lamb, who publishes a sketchnoting newsletter that you can subscribe to. You can also look into Mike Rohde, who has published a series of books and workbooks and even has a podcast dedicated to the topic called the Sketchnote Army Podcast. Most sketchnoters also have a habit of sharing their work on social media with hashtags, so they're usually easy to find. And that's great for looking into what other people are doing to give you some ideas on your own. But also, of course, to find interesting content that they have sketchnoted. Let me take a moment to say that as fun as it is, I do not consider sketchnoting an idle pastime. Learning how to sketchnote, how to make thinking manifest, supercharges everything we do. Understanding new domains of knowledge or structuring big new thoughts, conveying big new thoughts to others in concentrated ways, encouraging reflection, contributing to a community of practice. This is a tool for doing all of that. And okay, yeah, it's also fun. So, now it's up to you. Give it a go as you listen to the talks at Spark, and be sure and share your work. Thread them in the Spark channel and post copies to the Sketchnotes channel if you like. Sketchnoting is a fun, valuable practice that I hope you find as useful and enjoyable as I do. And enjoy Spark.